We're going to look at a concrete example of when someone does something that catches you off guard.
Florida called for a personal foul. Misconduct by Kelvin Taylor. This was the gesture he made after scoring the touchdown, and a vitriolic moment afterwards with his head coach.
So, Chris, if I was going to ask you, what are the pros and cons of that approach, you would say what?
Well, I think one of the pros is I think that behavior is going to end right then and there.
Right.
It's probably not going to happen that game, the rest of the season, certainly with that player and probably the rest of the team.
Efficient, maybe?
Happens fast, over and done.
And the cons?
Well, I do think the cons far outweigh the pros. I mean, there's going to be some fractured relationships right there, certainly between him and the players. But I see all those guys watching him, and I think, in my experiences, you could be talking to another student and they experience exactly what's going on, even though it might not be directly to them. So now all of a sudden he's fractured some other relationships in that circle right there, and the rest of the team's going to see it.
And it's hard to ask for poise if you're not modeling it. And if you think about this word, agility, if I was going to ask you to define it, how would you do that?
Yeah, agility to me is to be able to change directions quickly and smoothly.
So if we take what you just said and apply that to social context, that is a required skill, particularly in uncertain times, because how you navigate moments that catch you off guard is where your credibility is going to be earned and lost with the people that you lead. And the goal is to reach competitive maturity, which essentially means that you can be your best authentic self in the most competitive, pressurized environments. So I'd like to show an example of that. You're going to see a clip here of Earl Thomas. This moment in time, it's the 4th game of the year. He's in a contract year. He blows his ACL. And as he's being carted off the field, this is the gesture that he makes to head coach Pete Carroll. After the game, Pete Carroll is asked about this incident. Here's how he responds.
Under the circumstances, to handle what just happened in a flash of a moment, and with all of the knowledge that he knew where he was going, he knows exactly what the injury was. He knew exactly, I'm sure it flashed in his mind, this is going to take this long, and this time, how could this, all of the stuff that's going through his head. I mean, you got to give everybody a break, You can have expectations for people to do exactly as you would think they should do, but until you're there doing it and you understand it, yeah, you got to give guys some room. And so that's exactly how I feel about it. I know that probably some of our other players know that, and people who've been in the situation understand. And I get it when people want to pass judgment and try to, cast aspersions and all that about something. But in the heat of the moment, with all the emotional part of this, and the injury and the pain and the discomfort, all of that, shoot, man, we'll give the guy a break.
So there are some coaches that will watch this and say he doesn't have control over the locker room and he could lose the locker room over this. You would say what?
He even says that. There's going to be some people that cast aspersions on this whole situation, how I'm handling this. I think that's the gold standard of competitive maturity right there. He just killed the story. And it takes so much wisdom, experience, compassion to be able to operate like that, certainly in the emotional environment that comes with sports. But I know, all of us have been in emotional situations that it's very hard to operate with that type of maturity.
And why do you think it actually gains credibility in the locker room?
Well, exactly right. I think it does. I think all the teammates are now seeing this is how our coach basically has our brothers, our players back in this tough situation. He gets it. He's not a player, but he understands what it's like to be in our shoes.